Hey, happy weekend, y'all. Welcome back to my channel. I am posting this on the weekend, but I am recording it on Tuesday, which means it's a work day. I do work full time, but I'm on lunch break right now, and there was a break in the rain, so I am outside to stretch my legs a little bit because I do work from home, so it's nice to get out occasionally. And I have great places to walk to with, nice forests down my driveway. So let's go. Anyway, I just thought I would take a little break and talk a little bit to you guys about how I am preparing for the Appalachian Trail, because I know that everyone kind of goes about that process a little differently and does things their own way. So I was just going to share what my process so far has been and what I have left to do, and yeah, just share all the details. So first, I do want to say that there's one specific thing that a lot of other people have to think about that I don't, and that is a plane ticket. So because I live here in southern Appalachia, I am driving distance from Georgia. I mean, it's kind of a long drive. I think it takes about 2 to 3 hours to get there from here, but that's doable. And so I don't have to worry about a plane ticket. Basically, my plan for getting to the trail is either driving down the morning I start, or maybe I'll book the lodge for the night before. I need to make that decision soon, but it's not going to be a crazy long trip, and I have lots of options. But there's a decently long list of things that I do need to be thinking about. The sun is coming out for the first time today. Hold on. That's nice. But I do have a long list of things that I have already done to prepare for the AT, and a slowly diminishing list of things that I still need to do. So I'm first going to share with you guys, I've got this little notebook that reminds me of Blue's Clues. I don't know about you. I can't even place in my head how this is used in Blue's Clues, but every time I look at it, it reminds me of Blue's Clues. Anyway, I'm going to share with you my list of things that I have either already done or am actively in the process of doing right now, because some things take some time. So I'm going to do that list first. And the absolute first thing that I did do is register my hike. So the ATC, the Appalachian Trail Conservancy's website, has a place where you can register your hike start date. There's so many people that hike the AT these days that erosion and overcrowding and things like that can become a real issue. So this kind of system, from what I understand, this system of registering your start date is kind of to help space people out. Ducking under some low branches. Lines with my hiking partner, we've made a lot of intentional conversations. We've had a lot of intentional conversations about our expectations and what we're wanting to get out of the hike. And that is mostly to make sure that we're on the same page, and also to make sure that we understand how each of us wants to do this trip. We sat down one day and we mapped out kind of along the trail if either of us had any particular areas that we really wanted to go see this, or we really wanted to go see that. So for an example, if we're relatively close, I want to shuttle to trail days. It's details like that that we just wanted to figure out and make sure that we understood each other and how we were trying to hike this hike. Another big thing that I am doing to prepare is budgeting. And that is something that has stopped me from hiking the trail until now. Budgeting happens in a couple different phases. One phase, or one of the early ones, is just that I had to make my decisions as to how much I was actually saving for the trail, and have whatever my on-trail budget is going to be, but then also figure out what are going to be the at-home expenses, such as rent, car insurance, health insurance, the things that continue in the background. And then also I had to make a decision as to the amount, or the goal amount that I wanted to save up to as cushioning for when I get home, so that I'm not just starting at zero when I come back from the trail, and I have something to hit the ground with when I come back. Another thing that plays into budgeting is, and I kind of mentioned it before, is those at-home costs. So like rent. So this is a whole conversation right here. But when I decided I wanted to hike the AT, and I started doing this budgeting, kind of conversation with myself in late winter, early spring of 2022, I realized that with the living situation I was in, with the amount of money I had coming in, I would never make it to my budgeting goals. And so I am lucky in the sense that I lived not far from my parents, and they have on their property a standalone apartment that's its own space. And they offered to me, and I took them up on it. I moved into that apartment, and I, pay rent to my parents, and I have my own space. We have clear boundaries, but that is saving me over half of what I was paying in rent originally. And is entirely financially making it possible for me to hike the Appalachian Trail this coming year. So that was a huge thing. And that also is lending itself to what my costs are going to be on trail. Because it is my family, I'm lucky enough that I'm not going to have a rental payment while I'm on trail next year. And that makes a huge difference as well. So that in itself is a major component of how I'm preparing for the trail. It's letting me not have rent on trail, and also my stuff can stay where it is for free, which I know is not a luxury that everyone gets. I feel very lucky that I have the relationship I do with my parents, and that's a resource that I can utilize. Also, my car can stay here, and that is a big thing in and of itself, is what's happening with my vehicle. I considered selling it, but I do want a car when I come back, and I really like my car. She's got a lot of life left in her, and I know that I'm going to need something when I come home, so I chose not to sell it, but it is going to stay parked here at my parents' place. The last thing of note I have in terms of budgeting is that I had to get situated for health insurance for the coming year. And I had to pick a new health plan anyway. And I actually, yesterday, enrolled in a new healthcare plan that will start January of 2023. So that was a pretty huge thing to check off of my to-do list. Other things I'm doing to prepare for the trail include research. I have watched bukus of hours of YouTube videos, and arguably too much, depending on who you ask, but I've watched a bunch of YouTube videos and read a bunch of books, and I have several more books on my reading list and on my nightstand that are waiting to be read. I will put a link in the description, or not a link, but a list of the books that I particularly enjoyed, and or YouTube videos I particularly enjoyed, because there's a lot of great resources out there. One thing I particularly pay attention to with the YouTube videos is what people struggle with, because that is something that I really want to be mentally prepared for, is the areas that are going to be maybe a little bit harder, or some of the mental struggles that people might have and things like that. It's the mental side that I'm trying to prepare for the most, and it's kind of the hardest to prepare for. But again, just kind of listening to other people's experiences and taking notes and moving forward with that information is the way that I am going about that process. And then finally, the last thing, or the last category of things that I have been preparing for the AT with, is the physical training side. I do go on one backpacking trip, at least one backpacking trip over the weekend per month, to test myself and my gear as I get new stuff as it kind of trickles in. And then I also aim for, sometimes I succeed at it, 3 to 4 days with intentional movement. And that can be anything. That ends up being a mixture of running, hiking, strength training workouts. I've got some, weights and stuff at home. And then also I consider yoga in that mix as well, because flexibility and mobility is a huge component for my ability to succeed physically. I feel pretty prepared at this point. It's just kind of maintaining and not letting myself slip. I found myself kind of checking into the idea that it didn't matter a whole lot, how I was doing with my physical training now, because the AT is going to whip me into shape anyway. And I'm trying very actively not to let that govern how I continue to work out and exercise my body, because if that's the case, I'm just going to be a couch potato until I go do a through hike, and that is not preparing myself well. So that's something that I've kind of internally been struggling with a little bit. So that is most of the things that I can think of right now that I have done already to prepare for the AT next year. And now I am going to switch arms and give my arm a break and talk to you about the things that I have yet to do, because I am not done. Okay, let's keep walking circles around the lower part of our property. So I have yet to do some big stuff for my preparations for the AT, and I'm going to share those right now. The biggest of which is I don't have all my gear yet. That's why you don't have a gear video yet. I would say I have about 60% of it, but I'm still collecting things. And then as I collect those, last gear items, especially in January and February, by that time, I should have all of my gear. And I want to do a couple specific shakedown hikes with all of my stuff as though I was on the Appalachian Trail. So there will be a couple videos that I make about those as they happen, with reviews and thoughts and feelings on how my setup is going for me. So keep your eye out for those, but again, it won't be till after the holidays. I started to mention this before, but I'll say it now. Car insurance is something that is going to change. I thought about canceling my car insurance, and if anyone else is thinking about that, just a heads up, make sure you read the fine print, because there's something technical that happens where if you cancel your car insurance but you still have a license plate, I think that's not allowed. Anyway, I didn't fully go down this route, so I don't have the final information, but you might need to turn in your license plate if you're canceling your car insurance. So just keep in mind that is something that might happen. What I have decided to do is just switch my car insurance over to parked car insurance. So it ends up being like less than half of what I'm paying at the moment, or about half. So it's saving me money. I'm still paying something, but I'm not paying unnecessarily for protection when the car is not being used. Another huge thing that I still need to do and can't yet, because I'm still waiting for, the forms to come in, but I'm going to do my taxes before I go. Kind of continuing with financial stuff again. But again, it is like one of the biggest factors, and I'll be damned if I come off trail because I didn't budget right. That will not be the reason. But to continue along with that, I have to tell my work, they actually already know, but I have to officially submit a request to go on what my work calls hiatus. So there's kind of already a system in place at my work where instead of just fully all out quitting my job, I can go on hiatus, and basically my employment gets put on pause, but they don't take me out of the system. So when I come back from the AT, I can come back out of hiatus and I still have a job. So I need to officially go on hiatus for my job, but that won't be until about a month before I head out. And they know it's coming. I just need to officially submit that. Another thing I need to do that is technological is I need to dump my pictures off of my phone, because I'm going to be vlogging this. I'm going to have an exuberant amount of pictures and videos that I'm going to be taking, and I want to make sure I have room for all of them. And my phone has plenty of storage on it. I'm not worried about that. I just want to go ahead and dump pictures from, the last year and a half, so that I've got way more than I could need. I don't want to run out. I'd rather have more than I expect to be needing than be pushing that limit a little bit. Also on the technological side, I have Audible downloaded, and I also have Netflix, and both of those let you download. So Audible, I can download some books, and Netflix, I was thinking of downloading like one movie and a couple shows for the really hard days. I don't have any intention of like watching TV on trail, but also I'm trying to set myself up to mentally thrive while on trail. And if I'm having a particularly hard day and I just need to watch an episode of New Girl to get through it, or just listen to it while the rain is hitting me because I'm tired of rain for the 5th day in a row or something, I want those resources for those moments. And so I want to, before I hit the trail, download a couple of those resources. I mentioned New Girl because that's, I don't know if anyone else is like this, but that's my like emotional support show. So New Girl will be downloaded, maybe a movie, and then a couple of books for the when in need moments. And then finally, the only other thing that I still need to do is set up my a couple boxes to have sent to myself while I'm on trail. So my mom has graciously offered to be a resource for that. And what I'm going to have available is I'm going to have a tote, essentially, of the excess gear that I'm leaving home, but I might need at some point. For example, I have a bug head net that I know I'm not going to need right at the beginning, but I probably will at some point. And so that's going to be in the bucket so that, you know, when I'm in Jersey or something, I can give my mom a call and say, hey, I need some things for this bucket from my bucket. Can you put X, Y, and Z in a box and send it to this post office? And it's all together for her to pull from. Another thing that I want to have sent to myself, and my hiking partner and I both talked about this together, is I'm going to set up 500-mile celebratory boxes for myself. And they're going to have things in them that I might not be able to find or will just otherwise make me feel good on trail. So things that could include is a fresh pair of socks and maybe my favorite chocolate or some dried mango, you know, things that I might be having a hard time finding on trail, but that are some of my, you know, comfort foods or items that are just gonna be kind of a moral uplift. And I want to have some sort of a box at the 500-mile marks to celebrate that I've gone 500 miles, because that is no small feat. So I need to set those up. And again, my mom has graciously offered to send those on to me while I'm on trail. So thank you, Mom. So that is everything that I can think of right now that I have done, am doing, and need to do to prepare for the Appalachian Trail to through hike 2,100 miles. Wow. In 2023. So if you guys have any thoughts or comments, let me know. If you prepare in any different way, or you also do some of the things that I mentioned, put it in the comments. I want to hear what y'all think, and I will put a list of some of the resources that I have in the description, and I will also link that ATC registration site for you guys. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Have a great weekend.